Hey everyone, Lan here, and today we're going to go over how to install and set up Task Force Arrowhead Radio, also known as TFAR. TFAR is an immersive radio mod for Arma 3 that uses TeamSpeak 3 for more detailed radio operations than the vanilla Arma 3 experience, or something like Discord, while not being so complex that it becomes difficult for a casual player to understand and deal with. Pathfinder Platoon uses TFAR exclusively for our in-game operations, and the use of TFAR will be the same regardless of what settings or mod packs we have loaded at the moment. First, I'll show you how to install TeamSpeak 3, the TFAR mod, and the TFAR plugin for TeamSpeak. Then we'll talk about how to configure TeamSpeak to work for our Platoon server, and how to connect to it. Lastly, we'll go over how to use TFAR in-game, and what to expect during missions using TFAR. So, let's get to it. The first thing you'll need for TFAR is TeamSpeak 3. Notice that I specifically say TeamSpeak 3. At the time of recording, the most recent version of TeamSpeak is TeamSpeak 6. TeamSpeak 6 will not work with TFAR. You will specifically require TeamSpeak 3. You can find this by going to teamspeak.com, go to the Downloads tab, and switch over to TeamSpeak 3. Now, I'll be giving instructions for installation on Windows specifically, partially because it is the most common operating system that people will be playing Arma on, but also it's what I have. And I'm not spinning up a virtual machine to demonstrate the differences. If you're using a different operating system, you should be able to look up and find guides to installing TeamSpeak plugins. I've linked one in the description, though I make no claims as to the accuracy of the information or how current it is. With all that said, on the TeamSpeak 3 section of the downloads page, go ahead and download the Windows installer for TeamSpeak 3. Let it download. And once complete, go ahead and run it. Should be a pretty quick download. It'll take a quick second to load the setup, and then we'll go through the wizard. Accept our terms of service that we definitely read. Install for anyone, and we can leave the destination the default. I've never had a reason to change this. If you wish to save your configuration somewhere else, you can go ahead and select this option, and it'll save to the installation folder, but I'm going to leave it on recommended. Now, the Overwolf TeamSpeak overlay, that's up to you. Personally, I don't use it, so I'd go ahead and uncheck this, but if you want to, feel free to leave it checked. And finally, let's go ahead and hit install. Should take a relatively short amount of time, and when completed, you'll see this end screen, including Run TeamSpeak 3 Client. We'll leave that checked, so the TeamSpeak will run as soon as we hit finish. Next up, we'll need to go about installing the TFAR add-on for Arma 3. This one will be pretty straightforward. Note that if you already have TFAR, say for example you've already loaded one of the Pathfinder Platoon mod packs, you can skip this step. So if you don't already have TFAR enabled, we'll just navigate to the Arma 3 Steam Workshop page. Down here in the search bar, we will type Task Force Arrowhead Radio, and we are looking for Task Force Arrowhead Radio Beta. 3 exclamation points lets you know it's super beta. Go ahead and click on that. Hit subscribe, and wait a second for it to be downloaded and installed. If you don't have CBA A3, which is community-based add-ons, it will prompt you go ahead and subscribe to that also. Wait a second for both of those to install, and then we can go ahead and launch Arma 3. It'll pop up the launcher, and from here, you can go to the Mods tab, and we can make sure that Task Force Arrowhead Radio Beta is checked. Once again, if you don't have CBA enabled, it will prompt you, and you can go ahead and enable it as well. Okay, we're in the home stretch of the install here. All we have left to do is install the TFAR plugin that was downloaded with the Arma mod and install it in our TeamSpeak 3 client. To start that, we're going to, from the Arma launcher, select the Task Force Arrowhead Radio row, hit the triple dots on the right under the logo, and hit Open Folder in Windows Explorer. It'll probably pop up this warning about the mod being stored in the cache and not to mess with it. That's fine, we don't plan on breaking anything, just like we never do. Yet I understand. Now, this opens our workshop folder inside of Arma 3. As you can see, I have quite a few enabled. You may have to look if it does not automatically select it, but you're looking for Task Force Arrowhead Radio Beta. In there, you can go ahead and look for the TeamSpeak folder, which will contain a single file, taskforceradio.ts3 plugin. Next, we're going to open a second Explorer. You can hit the plus at the top if you have that, or you can just open a second window with Win key E, which I'm going to do. And we're going to click into the bar here where it says Home and type %appdata %/ts3 client. Hit enter. And that's going to take us into our app data for TeamSpeak 3. From here, we're going to click into the plugins folder, and we're going to do something a little weird. Going back to our first window, we're going to take our taskforceradio.ts3 plugin file, we're going to copy it, and we're going to paste it into our app data. Now we're going to rename it. I should note that if you don't see the .ts3 plugin extension, you're going to want to go to View here, go to Show, and make sure you have File Name Extensions checked. Once we can see the extensions, we're going to rename our taskforceradio.ts3 plugin to taskforceradio.zip. It'll pop up this warning about the file becoming potentially unusable, but actually what we're doing right now is going to make the file more usable. So we're going to go ahead and click yes. And we can see this is now turned into a zip file. Right click and hit extract all. It'll open the unzip dialog here. This should be fine. Go ahead and hit extract. It'll pop up this third window here. And we're going to go ahead and take everything in this plugin folder here and drag it back into our app data plugins. Once that's done, we can go ahead and delete our previous files since we no longer need them. And we can also go ahead and close all these Explorer windows. Last thing, we're going to open our TeamSpeak 3 client or if it's already open, bring it up again. And we're going to go into Tools, Options, Add-ons. If you don't see the Task Force Arrowhead Radio plugin, you may need to hit this Reload All button on the bottom, and it should appear. Make sure that the add-on shows as enabled, and TFAR is now set up, ready for us to configure and connect. Alright, we've gotten TeamSpeak installed, we've gotten TFAR installed, and we've gotten the TeamSpeak plugin installed. Now we're ready to configure our settings and get ready to connect to the Pathfinder Platoon TeamSpeak server. Once again, go to Tools and Options, and we're going to start with our Playback tab. Now, this tab will control how our TFAR audio sounds to us. That is to say, other people speaking within the game or using radio transmissions. Starting from the top here, you can select Playback Mode. I've never had a reason to change it off of Automatically Use Best Mode, but if you find a need to, you can. And Playback Device is what audio device our TFAR is going to play through. Now, an important note here for Playback Device. I know some people use SteelSeries Sonar, which is meant for use with SteelSeries headset, and allow the use of mixing audio between a game channel and a chat channel. I myself use SteelSeries. It can be used for non-SteelSeries headsets as well. But there is one weird quirk about this. For our playback device, you would assume that the most obvious option is using the chat channel. For whatever reason, SteelSeries Sonar chat channel is a mono audio channel rather than stereo. What that means is that there is only one audio channel that plays in both earpieces rather than a separate left and right channel. Why did Sonar choose to do this? I have no idea. It does not sound like a smart choice. But it is what it is. So what that means for Sonar users is that you will want to select the gaming channel as your audio device. If you select chat, you will not be able to hear the directional audio that TFAR provides, nor will you be able to use the left ear or right ear options for TFAR radios. Below we can see our volume adjustment that controls how loud our audio plays, and our sound pack volume, which controls the volume of things like
connected, disconnected, user entered your channel.
Those kinds of voice lines. Further down, we have our options that you can go ahead and set to however you desire. The only truly important one is always set clients' 3D positions when available. This makes it so that when somebody is talking using TFAR, you can tell where they are just by hearing where their voice sounds relative to yourself. This makes it easier to organize in game, have an intuitive sense of people around you, and generally feels more immersive. Let's go ahead and hit Apply, and then we can move on to Capture. Here on our Capture tab, we can see all the settings related to how we will broadcast in-game. We're going to do a little bit of jumping around here while going over the specifics. Once again, we have our Capture mode, which I've never had a reason to change it off of Automatically Use Best mode, and our Capture device, which you can set to whatever microphone you want to use for your in-game audio. Now, down at the bottom here, we also have processing that can be performed on your input stream. It includes things like typing attenuation, which will try to filter out noises made from key presses. We have remove background noise, which tries to filter out general ambient noise. We have echo cancellation and echo reduction, both of which try to prevent audio that plays from your earpieces being picked up by your microphone. Audio cancellation will use the audio of what is being played and attempt to negate it when picking up your mic stream. Echo reduction ducking will reduce the audio played from other players whenever you are speaking to reduce the likelihood of it being picked up by your microphone. Both of these options are very important if you're doing something like playing your audio through speakers instead of a headset. Now we can double back to activation, and this is where you have a couple options. Note that this will only control our non-radio communications. The TFAR plugin in Arma will handle activation of the radio. This will be purely for ambient voice when you are speaking just over the air. With that said, you have three options. First is push-to-talk, or PTT. Push-to-talk makes it so that your voice will only be broadcast when you press and hold a key, T by default. This can be useful if you want to be absolutely certain that you are only broadcasting when you wish to, and that you don't have to worry about picking up any extraneous audio or noisy environment. Next is continuous transmission. Continuous transmission is exactly what it sounds like. It just plays anything that your mic picks up all the time without requiring any action on your part. I highly recommend against continuous transmission, as if you have any kind of environmental noise whatsoever, it can quickly become very irritating for your teammates to hear air conditioner, outside, vehicle noises on a nearby street anytime that they're near you. The last option is voice activity detection, or VOX. What this does is monitors your microphone input volume and determines when to broadcast your voice and when not to, depending on the level. This makes it convenient for not having to worry about remembering to push to talk, and makes it very natural from your perspective. You simply speak, and it will broadcast. When you are not speaking, it will not. Of course, there's a couple of mode options here that you can change as well. The first being the volume gate. Volume gate, you pick where exactly you want the cutoff to be of when your voice plays and when it doesn't. You can adjust it with this slider here based on how loud your voice is when speaking and how loud your environment is. Automatic mode basically does the same thing, only the program controls where the gate is based on sort of an averaging of your voice levels. Hybrid will do kind of a combination of the two, where you can set your own volume gate, but additionally, the program will take into consideration your average speaking volume, your environmental noise level, and that sort of thing before deciding when to broadcast you. I prefer to use volume gate myself, but obviously the choice is up to you as to what you find the easiest to manage and the most natural. For all of these cases, you can go ahead and hit the Begin Test button to sort of get a preview of when it will pick up your voice and when it will not. You can see your audio levels here, and you can see when you are broadcasting the blue light highlights. I'm speaking very slowly with this because it plays your own voice back, which can really fuck up your speaking. Alright, that's enough of that. Alright, time for the last section of TeamSpeak settings before we get into the game. Bookmarks. Go ahead and go up to the Bookmarks tab here. Hit Manage Bookmarks. And this window should appear. These are the bookmarks for your TeamSpeak. These allow you to quickly connect to servers that you do so regularly without needing to input information manually every time. This, of course, is my pre-existing Pathfinder Platoon bookmark, which of course has different settings than you would, as my machine is the one hosting the TeamSpeak server. For you, you're going to go ahead and hit Add Bookmark down here, and you will see that it adds New Server. From there, you can go ahead and change the bookmark name. You can set your nickname, which is what will be displayed when you connect to the server. Keep in mind, this will only display when you are not in-game. Thanks to the TFAR mod in Arma, once you connect through Arma, your nickname will change to match your Arma profile name, and this nickname will no longer be visible. You also need to put in the server nickname or address. You can go ahead and find that information on our Discord. I'm not going to put that here. And the password for that server. You do not need to worry about default channel or default channel password. And all of the items here on the right should be fine to leave as is. All right, now we should be able to go to the bookmarks folder. Go ahead and go to the server that you just added.
Connected.
And it should connect you to the Pathfinder Platoon TeamSpeak server. An important note that because of, at time of recording, I'm hosting our TeamSpeak server from my local device, it is not up 24/7. I tend to bring it up shortly before games, or if you need the server to be up for testing, you can message me on the Discord and I can bring it up for you. That's pretty much everything you need to worry about with TeamSpeak itself. For everything else, we'll need to jump into Arma and go over the operations of TFAR in-game. Alright, we've got TeamSpeak completely set up. We have the TFAR plugin installed, we've configured our settings, and now we are fully into the game. Let's talk about how to use TFAR for in-game voice and radio. First things first, we're going to jump into our keybinds for TFAR so we know what buttons to hit. Remember, if you're using push-to-talk, the button you configured in TeamSpeak will control your speaking in the game. So let's go ahead and open our menu. Then we're going to go to Configure and Controls. And we're going to hit Configure Add-ons here at the bottom right. Once we do that, we can switch to our TFAR add-on and see all of the keys that are being used by TFAR. This looks like a lot, but I promise you, not that much once you get used to it. So first up, we have all of our quick channel switch keybinds. These are just for quickly switching between preset channels, something that you're probably not going to really need to worry about at the scale that Pathfinder Platoon normally does its operations, but good to know that you have them just in case. For now, we'll leave those alone. The next most important one is change speaking volume. So, TFAR, in addition to handling radio channels, also handles in-game audio like we discussed. And as part of that, you can choose what volume of audio you are broadcasting. That can be standard, whisper, or yelling. And you can change through that with the default key binding of Control-Tab. Here you can see the icon in our lower right corner, right now indicating that we are a normal speaking volume. If we hit Control-Tab, we change to yelling, and if we hit it again, we change to whisper. We can continue to cycle through that with Control-Tab. Now each mode determines how far your speaking voice carries. At a normal speaking volume, it will travel a medium distance, large enough for conversation within a sizable room. Yelling will allow you to communicate across far longer distances, such as open ground, or a hangar, something like that. Whisper will allow your voice only to be heard by those extremely close to you. Now, an important thing to note is that your speaking voice can be heard by enemies. What that means is you should always try to tailor your speaking voice level to the appropriate situation. Now, going back to our controls page, our next most important channels will be our SR transmit and SR transmit additional, as well as LR transmit and LR transmit additional. Lastly, we'll need to worry about open SR radio menu or open LR radio menu, and we'll go over each of these in turn. So what are our radios? What do we actually need to use them? How do we use them? For the average person on the ground, the only thing you'll need to worry about is a short-range radio. If you go ahead and open your inventory, most missions you will begin with a radio equipped, typically the ANPRC 152. That is a short-range radio with a 5-kilometer range, which can be further decreased by terrain such as buildings, hills, trees, other phenomena. We can go ahead and open that by hitting our Open SR Radio menu button, or Control-P by default. If you are using ACE, as we do for many of our missions, you can also open your radio by holding the Self-Interact button, going to Radios, and then releasing on your short-range radio. If you're not familiar with ACE, check out the Arma 3 ACE tutorial from this channel to learn about that as well. Here, you can see our radio is fully open. There's quite a bit going on here, but we'll walk through it. The first thing to know is that our current channel shows on the display here. For us, this is our channel 1 slot, indicated by C1, or 120 megahertz. That means that we will broadcast or receive transmissions on 120 megahertz. You can see the list of all of our preset channels and their frequencies down here on the index card attachment. You can also type in channel descriptions for any of your preset channels if you want to remember what they're used for. For example, we'll mark 120 as our main channel and 121 as our alternate channel. You can also interact with the keys and volume dial, and as you hover over, you can see that it indicates the use of each button. We can cycle through our channels using the next and previous channel button, or you can also enter a channel manually by hitting clear frequency, typing in the channel that you want to go to, and hitting enter to set the frequency. You can also see that that has updated what our channel 1 preset is down on the card. By hitting the SR transmit key, which is caps lock by default, you can see that in the lower right, TFAR indicates that we are broadcasting on our current channel. You should know that you don't have to have your radio up once you've configured it. You can hit caps lock while in the field to transmit on your current channel. If we go back to our radio, we can also set up an additional channel. What this does is gives us a quick access second channel that we can both listen and respond on. A setup like this might take some getting used to, but it can be useful when you may have something like 2 fire teams, each with their own radio channel, and then your additional channel set to the squad-wide frequency so you can quickly communicate between the 2 fire teams and the squad leader. To do this, first, we changed the channel that we want to be our additional channel. Notice that I said we do that first. The first channel you select will be your additional. You go ahead and do that by hitting the left arrow, which is Set Additional Channel, and you can see that our channel preset slot has changed from C2 to A2. That tells us that this is now our additional channel. We can now switch to the channel that we want to be our primary channel. For example, going back to channel 1. Now, we can either broadcast on our main channel with the regular caps lock key, or on the alternate channel with Shift caps lock. As you can see in the lower right, we are now broadcasting on 121, and it's saying additional channel 2. Of course, you're probably thinking, how the hell do I tell the difference when I'm in a firefight and I have voices yelling on both channels? That's where our stereo settings come in. If I hover over the 0 key, I can see that the tooltip says stereo settings. If I hit that, in the lower right, you can see that I am changing what ear this channel is playing with. So, say for example, I set the main channel to left ear only. I then toggle to our additional, I hit stereo settings again, and this one I set to right only. If I switch back to my primary channel, now when I broadcast on that, the audio for that channel plays only in my left ear. Conversely, if I use my alternate channel with Shift caps lock, that plays only in my right ear. If you have headphones right now, you should be able to hear the transmit sounds playing in one ear or the other. That makes it much easier, while in the field, to tell what channel something is being broadcasted in. So that's the basics of the short-range radio. But what if you want to broadcast over 5 kilometers? Maybe to an HQ somewhere that's much further away. For that, we'll need a long-range radio. Here in the arsenal, we can see, if we go to Backpack, an AN ARC 210. This is a radio with a 40-kilometer range and our standard long-range radio. Typically, only 1 or 2 members of a squad will have the long range, maybe the squad leader, or maybe the squad leader's assistant. These will be the contact points for the squad to the higher links of the operation. If I equip it, and then hit the Open LR menu button, which is Alt-P by default, or just like before, I can open it through the ACE Self-Interact, I can see very similar options to what my short range was, just in a slightly different configuration. Exactly the same. You can transmit using the LR transmit and LR transmit additional keybinds, which are Control caps lock or Control Shift caps lock by default. You can also hear the different tones that the short range and the long range play to let you know which channel is being broadcast or received on. Just like with the short range, you can also set an additional channel. So if I go to set additional channel, say I go to channel 2, set additional, and then go back to channel 1. Now, just like the short range, I can broadcast on either the primary or additional long-range channel. And just like the short range, I can adjust which ear is broadcasting which channel. Obviously, using 4 channels simultaneously is a skill that will require time and effort to master. But most of you shouldn't need to worry about that. With this video, you should be set to jump into a Pathfinder Platoon mission with the basics you need to use radios effectively. If there's anything you feel like you're missing, or you want more information on, don't hesitate to ask on the Discord. This has been Lan, your TFAR guide today, and I hope to see you all at our next mission. you can see the list of all of our preset channels and their frequencies down here on the index card attachment, as well as enter descriptions for channels if you want to remember what exactly each is used for. That was awful.